on with the Bungie theme, or do you want to bounce on to?
We talk about Bungie.
You want to just get Bungie
We've
now?
kind of been talking about Bungie. Let's get Bungie out.
We have been, haven't we? We have. Yeah. You're right. You're all right, Reg. You're like an oak. You're just so wise beyond your years, your long years. Right. The Bungie and Destiny 2 situation gets worse. Oh, I wish I could hug you right now, Red.
3,000 miles is my restraining order, Elite. 3,000 miles.
It's almost as if you want me to come over there.
No, because you couldn't fit in the country. My restraining order would prevent you from ever entering New Zealand while I'm in that country.
Could I see you from the coast of Australia?
No.
Hang on. Who says you're going to be allowed in Australia?
Oh, I thought you'd just let me in just so I can wind her up.
If I get it extended to about 8,000 miles, that might cover part of Australia that you're in the ashtray.
Oh. Maybe I'll just get a plane over and just wave from the window and call you as I'm flying over. Look up, look up. It's me. And then moon you at the window.
I'll be like, shoot it down.
Oh, no.
Oh, quick, scrub that out of the podcast.
God damn.
You can't friend to kill people each week, damn it, Red Bander. Every week you want to kill people. Every week.
Oh my God. Terrorism.
Yeah.
You serious?
How many people watch the show each week? I have no idea.
For some reason, people keep coming back to this fucking show. I don't know why.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, Bungie Destiny situation gets.
That is one big pile of shit.
True story. Right. So, having just retired Jim Ryan.
Yeah!
And Connie, I think, went as well.
Yeah!
God damn.
So there. Do you like those apples? Yes, they. It continues to go bad for Sony at the moment, and then we've got Bungie that are on sort of. They've lost off staff. Well, there's quite a few teams that lost staff. The Fire Sprite lost.
8%.
Yeah, I am. Who's this? Is you're on about Bungie lost 8%. I was saying Fire Sprite lost staff. Insomniac have reported to have lost staff as well. But yeah, Bungie have lost 8% of their staff.
100 people, I think.
They even lost the guy that does the music. What the hell? Vicious bastards. The orchestra guy.
And I was like, 343. Maybe look at hiring.
It's just no shame. It's sort of what do the people love about sort of Bungie and what they like? The music? Yeah, get rid of him. Fucking get rid of him. we'll just play, I don't know, some
he made that
techno.
Was he the guy who did the iconic Halo music initially? I feel like he was.
I think he may have been, yeah.
I believe so. And I reckon it was a strategic reason to get you. Well, so because they took people's shares away, right? If you leave or get sacked within the time frame,
vested shares.
Yeah. So I reckon he probably had a lot, being that he'd been there for such a long time. So that was probably strategic on. And it's an assumption on my behalf, but still, that makes a lot of sense. He's there longer. He's going to probably have quite a lot of shares, and they've probably done it on purpose.
3.6 billion was part of the Bungie acquisition.
Yeah, it was one. That was the acquisition, and there was like 1.2 billion.
Yeah, so I think it was 3.5 billion, was it? And then I think it was like basically 4 billion, to keep all
and then
staff.
1 billion, or 1 billion or 1.2 billion or something was put aside for retaining staff.
Yeah,
Bungie's already burnt through that, and so they're hemorrhaging money.
They've burnt through it already.
Yeah, they've already burned through it. I was reading up on
Holy shit.
Forbes article, his most recent one this morning, about what's going on at Bungie. And they were already hemorrhaging money. So when Lightfall launched, initially it had high pre-orders, lots of numbers, and then everyone thought it was shit. as an expansion, and they had massive drop off and people complaining, and then there was staff unrest complaining about like, hey, we want you to make these fixes. Fell on deaf ears. They weren't making any changes because they knew that they were losing their community because the community wasn't liking what they were putting out. And so basically it sounds like Bungie was in not a good financial position right now, considering Destiny 2 seems to be like all their eggs in one basket. People after hearing
interesting, isn't it?
People after hearing the news about
That's all I'm going to say on that.
about the fact that they fired them right before they could get payout from the divested shares, have just started cancelling the Final Shape DLC expansion, which has been delayed till next year. Been delayed by about 2 months, I think, something like that. And I think they've really done themselves a disservice by the way they handled the layoffs. And it sounds like, yes, PlayStation, Sony were talking about, hey, we need to tighten our belts on other things. And yes, Bungie is basically independent of itself. But I think they also realize that they need to sort of tighten up their belts and stop spending as much as they're spending. It's really sad and disappointing, and it doesn't sound like Bungie's in a good way in any shape or form. The way that I'm so upset and how they handled the layoffs. But it's not just Bungie, it's the whole industry as a whole itself. So many studios are handling layoffs appallingly. Like, people were waking up to tell them to come into the office, and then when they got there, they either didn't get told in person, or they basically found out from other people that people
They locked
were
out their
leaving.
PCs.
Sorry?
Some of them got in and they just locked out their PCs.
Yeah,
They just
locked out of
them
their PCs. It's disgusting. And it
Yeah.
sounds like that the whole industry needs an overhaul around how they treat their staff. Despicable.
And they give them a 1 day warning as well. Right before Christmas.
Yeah, with their all their benefits only lasted one day after
Yes,
being
only 1
fired.
day.
Their health, I think, is lasting another 3 months. Their health insurance.
They took their shares off them though.
Yeah, because they hadn't met the in the
Yeah,
wording in
They
their
had to
contract.
had to be there for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then sacked them before it got to that time. It's awful.
That's
Scummy.
how they're trying
It's
to
gotta be.
keep the money. They
But
need
hey,
the money.
Starfield's trash though, so it doesn't matter. All that doesn't matter because Starfield's trash. And sales, so it doesn't matter because sales. Yeah, it's absolutely awful. Why is the media? Of course they're not. Why are the media not just all over this and attacking Bungie
Jim
and having a
Ryan
go?
saying that Bungie was a better acquisition than Activision.
Of course they were. How much money he's made them?
Sounds like he was projecting and wanted to put on this big strong front around we're smart around how we spend our money and we're strategic. But I'm like, Microsoft ain't playing around. They spent this money on ABK. They've got a vision. They know what's happening. And you can't compare the two at all. And clearly, Bungie wasn't a smart acquisition.
No.
Shit.
And I think Phil knew this. I think Bungie first went to Microsoft, didn't they? And Phil just went, no, I'm not touching that. Fuck off. Go
Yeah.
to,
Well,
I don't know.
apparently
Sony.
Bungie was in trouble.
No, it all
and
right.
They needed PlayStation to bail them out a little bit, hence the acquisition. They were in trouble while they were independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because these managers, whoever's running Bungie, they're scummy, clearly.
They're
And
scumbags, yeah.
yeah, absolute scumbags. They're taking advantage of their staff. They're obviously doing dodgies to pocket money, hence these divested shares and sacking people. And they've been under Activision, so they probably learnt some scummy shit from them, to be honest with you. Xbox won't touch them with a 10-foot pole after this for sure. I don't know if in all seriousness, don't know if Bungie can really come back from this kind of stuff because it gives them a bad name to their staff. No one's going to want to work for them. They'll probably see more staff leave But the ones that are still there are
I
probably
hope they
trying
sue,
to
to be
stay
honest.
for as long as possible. Yeah, I mean, if there's grounds for it, hopefully.
I hope they go
'Cause
to court.
It's pretty
Yeah, definitely
bad.
grounds for it.
It stinks.
It is.
Yeah.
I hope they go to court and they sue them. But it's just, but can you imagine the damage it would do to Bungie if they did sue them and won sort of lots and lots of money?
It'd
How
bankrupt
much more that
Bungie.
that would, yeah. And then what would happen to Sony then? They just spent $4 billion on them and Bungie's gone under.
Well, that could happen.
And then
It could
how the
happen.
effect that would just snowball then.
Horrible though,
'cause
also
then-
the CEO announcing that we kept the good right people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
what
like-
a prick thing to say.
How to really
Yeah.
devalue the staff that you had when you talk about Bungie being like a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if people like Connie, who was sacked, and apparently some of her team went with her, didn't they? I wonder
Yeah.
if she was approached and all this, and then she was more outspoken about it all and said sort of something, and then they would like, "You're gone, bye, you're gone, shut up, you're gone." I wonder if wonder just how. I mean, they are sort of trying to say Sony had nothing to do with this, but I find it hard to believe Sony wasn't aware any of this was happening.
Well, they
And we're just-
technically don't have any control over how Bungie chooses to run Bungie. That's part of that independence.
Yeah, except
However,
except
they
for
can encourage Bungie to sort of tighten up the belt and stuff
Yeah.
if the company as a whole, regardless of which studio you are in,
yeah.
as a first party,
They would be giving them
needs
their
to-
targets.
needs to
Yeah.
pull up their socks. Because, like, you're right, Firesprite's lost some people, and there's, like, no articles about Firesprite because I think it hasn't fully been properly announced in official channels. Insomniac
Yeah.
losing people, we know that they're, like, so many studios have been impacted, but it's for people saying it's a Bungie problem and it's not a PlayStation problem, and you shouldn't be comparing the two. Like, PlayStation
Yeah.
as a brand, it doesn't matter. Bungie is owned by PlayStation now. Anything that Bungie does reflects badly or positively on PlayStation as a whole. Hence, any acquisition Xbox has doesn't matter if the game was like Redfall was in production before Xbox bought them. It is now Xbox's fault that it wasn't a good game at launch. You know, it doesn't really matter who had the game first or anything like that. The moment you are acquired by a publisher like that, it is now you wear that like a badge of honor or dishonor in that respect. So it still reflects on PlayStation regardless of whether Bungie made the decisions, because they're now intrinsically linked to that brand as a whole. Just like everything that Xbox does is now intrinsically linked to Bethesda and vice versa. So Bethesda, people calling Starfield trash, are using that as console warring crap against Xbox as a whole. And so you can't have one without the other in this respect. And those who are trying to distance and damage control the PlayStation side and Sony side of the linkage to Bungie, you can't. Bungie is part of PlayStation. Regardless of how you slice it, you cut it, you look at it, anything like that, take your rose-colored glasses off and wake up to reality of the situation.
Yeah. I was gonna say what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say now?
Right.
Yeah, I read something. Bungie. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've read something on it, but I can't find what I read out now. So read the thumbs out now. But this is, yeah, it's hard to find it hard to believe Sony had no idea what's going on. They give the budgets, or they give sort of targets for these teams. They don't, I don't think Bungie's completely on their own. They would have said, like, you can spend this much money, you can do this, you can do this. Just get on with it. Kind of like what Xbox is to Bethesda and that lot. I don't think it's completely unchained. But the thing is, I think one of the things that collapses here is that apparently Bungie underestimated their revenue, didn't they, by 45%?
Missed the revenue target.
Yeah, by 45%. Yeah,
That's
but it's
massive.
because of the calculation their end, apparently.
It's not just that; it's the
And
fact that they ignored the staff telling them that they were losing players. The
yeah,
upper management refused
yeah,
to listen to their own staff, telling them that what they're doing is losing players. We
yeah.
need to turn the ship.
And as a result of their bad management, they've sacked the very employees that tried to improve and warn them. They've just got rid of them. So it's like it's awful. Yeah, and I've never had love for Bungie, and I do hope these people try to get something out of this because it's right before Christmas. What a shitty thing to do. Could you just held out 2 months? You know what I mean? It's just awful. Or couldn't have Sony just said, because if Sony had nothing to do with it, couldn't Sony have said, oh, hold up, we'll absorb these staff into our other studios? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but no. Off you go. Give us your shares. Give us this money. You're getting none of this. Give us that. Buy, boot, kick.
Well,
you're out of here.
I don't know, but if Sony paid the 1.2 billion to retain staff and Bungie's gone ahead, or Bungie management have gone ahead and sacked staff, I don't know. Is there a breach of contract there? I'd be interested to know if that is the case, because they specifically paid that money to retain them.
Exactly.
Regardless, I would have thought. So, if management projected certain amount of revenue or profit, and it's 45% missing that target, that's really on the management. And if anything, Sony should be sacking those people
They should
and
be
replacing them or something.
That
so
independence piece.
it could be interesting enough to, well, they're independent, but they're independent under Sony, right? So they're still owned by them.
The same argument was used against Xbox, though, with Redfall, because Bethesda was looking after their stuff, and they're like, everyone's like, why wasn't Matt Booty involved and da-da-da-da-da and overseeing this?
Well, he is now.
Release a game like that. He is now. And it's like, I know you bought Bungie, you acquired them, and yes, they want to be independent, but you have to have some sort of oversight. And you're a business, so you need to be going, hey, these numbers don't look great. What are we doing to fix this? So it's mismanagement on both ends, in my opinion. And if you are going to call out Microsoft mismanagement and Xbox mismanagement of their acquisitions, you've got to call out PlayStation's ones and stop putting your head in the sand. If we want people to have honest conversations about what is going on in the industry, you can't just give one narrative to one company and completely ignore that it applies to the other company.
No, that's true. Exactly. It's got to be the same across the board. So, yeah, look, like to what Elite said earlier, it would be interesting if those staff can bring up some sort of lawsuit against them. It depends on what their contracts are and whether they were casual staff, and a whole lot of different variations and variables, but it'd still be interesting to see what happens there. I don't think I don't think this is the end of the story. I think there's going to be more to it. There's definitely going to be more to the layoffs across PlayStation in general, but
I hope there is more to it.
There will be.
I hope Bungie get sort of
It'd be nice
for the bush.
Well, it'd be nice if the actual games media did some actual reporting and actually try and find some of these people and interview them.
Rather than IGN at the moment shitting on Call of Duty instead.
Exactly.
His most recent article about what's happening at Bungie, he's been really good at keeping everyone informed about what he's found out.
He shouldn't have to. There's so many gaming media sites, none of them reported on anything negative that's happening in the same moment. None of them reporting on it.
Yeah, and I'm talking about particularly with Bungie right now, like Forbes, Paul Tassie's article about that is very informative. If you want to read an article, and I wish other outlets were doing proper journalism in this respect. Forbes isn't always the best, but sometimes they might show some integrity in some instances.
Actually, go on. Sorry. No, I was just going to jump in. Oh, go on.
Yeah, go.
Oh. No, I was just going to jump in and show the chat. There was another site, a shocking site that actually said something about it. Metro come out and said something about it and had their say on it. The whole Sony thing. I'll put it in the chat. The link to it. There it is. There. Does that link work? Is that popped up? Yeah, there we go. If you can, check on that. So Metro wrote something about it, and I'll post it in our chat.
Where the link go? Oh, it says we couldn't find your page.
Yeah. So check it out, guys. So I read that. I read their article on it, and they were sort of they were sort of blaming PlayStation for all the problems at Bungie at the moment. And I put it in our chat, which I always do, because that's what we do in Discord. We put the topics we're going to discuss. And then it wasn't until we were about to start the show, Ashtray tried to open the link and it didn't work. And then I've looked at it, and if you look yourselves, they've actually took down the page of them berating PlayStation about all this, which seems very odd to me. It seems very odd that they've actually took it down. So obviously, Sony have said, we're going to attract some of your money unless you shut your mouth. So Retro sort of pulled the plug on that. So that's the point. That's why it's just luckily we've got some people that are not in Sony's pocket, like Paul Tassi, that are actually say it is. But we've still got all those others like IGN that are still hating on Starfield and still telling people that Elder Scrolls is going to be Xbox exclusive, not coming to PlayStation 5, and still telling people that Call of Duty is trash and 4 out of 10 don't buy it. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I want to quickly point out Unlimited Production, what he popped in the chat. Shout out to you. Hi. Good to see you. He said, I think Xbox is more hands-on with Bethesda than Sony is with Bungie. Xbox at least seems to know what's going on over at Bethesda. Sony is acting as surprised as we are about the Bungie news. Well, people should be calling that out, so I agree. Like, yes, Microsoft is a lot more, or Xbox is a lot more hands-on with Bethesda than Sony has ever been with Bungie. And now Sony really has to look at that and try and change that, because that's appalling. If they didn't know what was going on at Bungie, why would you require them and not know what's happening?
That's like I can't believe it's that. And why is media not jumping on the whole bad management thing, which Xbox always get? Because they surely can't have no part in it. Because Bungie, as I said, could get sued and go completely under.
The toxic part of their community can't call it out. They're going to defend it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, but if Bungie went under, completely collapsed, and Sony wasn't aware of it, and then the next day it was Bungie announces it's going bankrupt, yada yada yada. That leaves Sony in right pickle. That's screwed them over. That's why they've got to have some form of management and control over what's going on.
Absolutely.
Surely.
Absolutely. And that's why this marathon game has to hit. Because people have, with the layoffs and stuff, I don't know if you guys heard, but apparently a lot of people were getting refunds for the Destiny 2 DLC that's coming out soon or whatever. Yeah. A lot of people have been going, nah, that's it. We're not, because you've treated the staff like this, we want a refund on our pre-orders. So that's been happening as well. So that's not good, right? And there'll be flow-on effect from this to continue. So if there might be people now with a bad taste in their mouth and not support Marathon from the get-go, which, the management really is to blame, in my opinion, here, and there's something that needs to be done definitely with these guys. They're obviously doing some dodgy tactics behind the scenes. If they collapse under Sony, it won't necessarily be Sony's fault. It'll be these managers, but it will be a bad look, and it will be a massive hit to Sony and PlayStation's, profits and all that. So it's pretty dire right now.
Bungie under Microsoft wasn't happy with Microsoft around profit revenue percentages and things like that, and then they wanted to go their own separate way, and so they did, right? And they
foregoing the Halo IP, yeah.
Yep, and then they went to Activision, and then wanted independence, and now they've gone to Sony. And I think Unlimited Production pointed this out earlier in the chat as well. How many chances can Bungie get?
I think this is their last one.
Yeah, I think this is their last one. I 100% agree with you. There is so much sentiment within our community that have lost, we've all lost faith in Bungie. Yes, they started Halo, but you're only as good as your last game, right? And and you're only as good as keeping your community happy. Why do you think WoW is celebrating 20 years at BlizzCon this year? That is because they listened to their community and they've made changes and they've kind of kept delivering on promises over time and kept their community engaged. I'm not a WoW fan. I'm more of just...
We'll have to just wait and see what happens going forward, really.
Yeah, let's watch the dumpster fire burn itself to the ground.
Yeah, pretty much.